Every world hides its secrets, and some beings belong to more than one. I am born of two worlds where science meets spirituality and reality collides with imagination. Welcome to the space between worlds. The jungle was alive, not with peace but with danger. Every sound carried a warning, the snap of a twig, the echo of a cry, the whisper of leaves moving without wind. The air was thick with fear. Far in the green heart of the ancient world, a young woman named Lyra ran barefoot through the mud. Her breath was heavy, her eyes wide, her skin covered in dust and sweat. She didn't look back, she didn't dare. Behind her something growled, deep, low, and close. For 3 days, she had been hunted. Lyra came from a small group of survivors, the last humans in a world now ruled by savage tribes, part human, part beast. They were stronger, faster, and smarter than any human could ever be. These creatures didn't just hunt for food, they hunted for revenge. The jungle hunt, the trees stood like towers, their roots twisting through the earth like veins. Thick vines hung low, hiding shadows that moved. Somewhere above, a bird screamed, then silence again. Lyra stopped near a stream. Her reflection looked back, tired, frightened, but still alive. She dipped her hands into the cold water, trembling. "I can't stop," she whispered. "They'll find me." But her body screamed for rest. Her legs ached, her throat burned. For a brief second she sat beside the water, trying to quiet her heart. That's when she heard it, the horn. A deep, haunting sound echoed through the forest. It wasn't from any human camp. It was the tribe's call, a signal that another hunt had begun. And this time she was the prey. The tribe appears from the thick mist, shadows began to move. Their eyes glowed faintly, orange and sharp. They moved on all fours at first, then stood tall, half covered in fur and wearing bones as necklaces. Each one had scars across their chests, marks of battles long past. At their lead was Karok, the war leader of the savage tribe. He was larger than the rest, his skin tough like bark, his face part man, part beast. Around his neck hung the teeth of fallen hunters and one small silver pendant that once belonged to a human. Karok sniffed the air. "She's close," he growled in a deep voice. "I smell fear." The others hissed in response. The hunt was on. The message far away beyond the dark valley in a hidden cave, Iran, an old man, sat beside a small fire. He was one of the last elders, a keeper of stories from the old world. Suddenly he heard a faint sound, a bird's whistle. Not a real bird, but a coded signal humans used to communicate secretly. Iran stood, listening. The message was clear, Lyra alive, being hunted. He sighed deeply. "The girl must reach the cliffs before sunset," he muttered, "or she's lost." Beside him, a boy no older than 12 looked up. "Should we help her?" Iran nodded slowly. "We must. If she dies, the fire of our kind dies with her." The trap back in the jungle, Lyra crossed a fallen log over the stream. Every step was a struggle, every heartbeat louder than thunder. She stopped to listen, silence again. Maybe she had lost them, but she didn't notice the trap. Her foot caught a hidden vine, a sudden snap, and a net of woven branches pulled her upward, hanging her in midair. Lyra gasped, struggling, twisting. The more she moved, the tighter it became. From the shadows, a figure emerged, Karok himself. His golden eyes met hers. For a moment, time froze. He stepped closer, inspecting her like a hunter examining his prize. "You ran far," he said slowly, his voice almost human. "But this is the end." Lyra glared at him, refusing to show fear. "I'm not afraid of you," she said, even though her heart raced. Karok tilted his head. "You should be." The fire in the sky before Karok could strike, the ground shook. A deep rumble spread through the forest. Birds exploded into the air, animals fled. Even Karok stepped back, confused. From the sky, a flash of blue light tore through the clouds, striking the mountains far beyond. The sound that followed was like thunder mixed with metal, something not of this world. Every creature in the jungle froze. Even the tribe looked afraid. Karok looked to the horizon. "It returns," he whispered. "The fire of the old gods." Lyra's eyes widened. "No," she said quietly. "That's not fire, it's a signal." Somewhere hidden beyond the valley, something ancient had awakened, something that had been sleeping for millions of years. And now it had called out. The tribe was distracted by the strange light. Lyra used the moment to grab a sharp bone shard from her belt and cut through the net. She fell hard to the ground, pain shooting through her leg, but she didn't stop. She ran through the fog, past the roots, through the dark. Behind her, Karok roared, the forest echoing with his anger. The hunt had just begun again. But this time something else was hunting them. Ending hook as Lyra disappeared into the night, the same blue light flashed once more. Far above the clouds, a shadowy shape moved, silent, massive, and watching. The desperate call had been answered. But by what, no one knew. The jungle slept under a blanket of fog, but the earth still trembled from the strange blue light that had split the sky. The animals hid. The savage tribe stayed quiet for the first time in years. Even the wind carried fear. Lyra moved fast through the thick forest. Her leg hurt from the fall, but she didn't stop. Every step echoed in her mind, run, survive, run. Behind her she could still hear faint howls of the tribe, but they were distant now. She had escaped for now. She looked up at the mountains far away, where the blue flash had hit. The sky above them was still glowing faintly, as if something alive waited there. What was that? She whispered to herself. Fire or something else? The old path Lyra followed a forgotten trail, one her mother once told her about. It was said to lead to the ancient grounds, a place where the old world still breathed beneath the soil. The jungle grew darker as she moved forward. The trees were taller, older. Their roots were thick as walls, and strange symbols were carved into them, circles, lines, and handprints that glowed faintly blue. She stopped and touched one of them. It felt warm, alive. The glow spread under her fingertips, forming a small pulse like a heartbeat. Lyra stepped back, shocked. "What is this place?" she whispered. Suddenly, the ground beneath her trembled. A rumbling sound rose from below. The vines around her shook, and a beam of blue light escaped from a crack in the earth. Dust and leaves swirled into the air. Something was waking up. The forgotten voice from deep underground, a faint sound came like a whisper through metal. Lyra bent closer, trying to hear. A voice, soft, broken, almost human, spoke in a language she didn't know. But somehow she understood one word, return. Her eyes widened. The voice was calling to her. The light around her grew brighter. A shape began to form on the ground, a circle made of symbols, shining blue like the stars. In the center of it she saw a small metal cube half buried in dirt. She picked it up. The cube was smooth and cold, with strange patterns carved into it. The moment her fingers touched it, the voice came again, clearer this time. "If you hear this, you are the last. The fire must live again." Lyra froze, her heart raced. "The fire," she repeated. "The blue fire." Before she could think, the voice faded, leaving only silence and the soft hum of the cube in her hands. The tribe's fear far behind, deep in the jungle, Karok and his hunters followed the faint trail. But now even they hesitated. One of the tribe members, a young hunter with painted skin, stopped suddenly. "The gods are angry," he said in a trembling voice. "The light means death." Karok growled. "No, the light means power, the same power humans stole from us long ago." "But Chief," another whispered, "the stories say the fire burns everything, even those who touch it." Karok turned to them, eyes burning like fire. "Then we will see who burns first, the human or us." He raised his weapon, a blade made of bone and stone, and roared. The tribe roared back, their cries echoing through the valley. The hunt was alive again. The hidden chamber Lyra followed the glowing cracks deeper into the ground. The path led her to a cave, its entrance hidden behind vines and moss. Inside, the air was cold and smelled like metal. The walls glowed with faint blue lines, forming patterns that looked almost like stars. She moved slowly, holding the cube in front of her. As she walked, the light on the walls grew stronger, reacting to the cube's presence. Then she saw it, a door. not made of wood or stone, but of silver metal, smooth and shining even after all these years. On its surface was an image of a hand, human, surrounded by symbols. Lyra hesitated, then slowly placed her palm against it. The door lit up. A deep hum filled the air and the symbols began to spin like gears. The metal slowly opened, revealing a chamber filled with strange machines, broken, rusted, but still humming with life. In the center stood a tall glass capsule. Inside it, something floated, a shape, humanoid but not fully human. Its body was covered in markings that glowed the same blue light. Lyra stepped closer, eyes wide. "What are you?" The awakening, the cube in her hand pulsed again, faster now. The voice returned, echoing all around her. "You must awaken the fire, time is ending." Before she could react, the capsule cracked open with a loud hiss. Blue mist filled the room. Lyra covered her mouth, coughing. Through the mist, the figure moved, slowly standing up. It was tall, its skin pale and glowing faintly. Its eyes opened, bright, piercing, and cold. It looked at Lyra, and for a long second, neither moved. Then, in a soft but deep voice, it spoke, "Human, you shouldn't be here." Lyra stepped back, shaking. "Who are you?" The being looked around the room, touching the broken walls as if remembering something. "I am what's left of what your kind once called the Guardian." The light around him flickered, and the fire you saw in the sky was not the end. It was the beginning. The ground shook again, dust falling from the silver walls. The blue glow around the chamber flickered like lightning trapped underground. Lyra held the small cube close to her chest, eyes fixed on the tall, glowing figure before her, the Guardian. He looked human, but not fully. His skin was pale like moonlight, his veins glowing blue. His voice carried both strength and sadness, as if he had waited for ages to speak again. "You shouldn't have come here," he said quietly. Lyra's voice trembled. "I didn't come by choice. They're hunting me." The Guardian's eyes narrowed. "The tribe," she nodded. "They call themselves the Savage Tribe. They hunt what's left of us." He stepped closer, the floor humming softly under his feet. "They are not what they seem, child. The truth is much older than you think." The vision of the past, the cube in Lyra's hand, pulsed again. The Guardian raised his hand, and the air around them began to shimmer. The walls of the chamber turned into light, and suddenly, Lyra saw the world not as it was, but as it had been. Huge towers touched the clouds. Cities floated on shining platforms. People moved through the air in metal wings. It was a world of power and beauty, but then came the fire. Flames fell from the sky, swallowing the cities. Screams filled the air. Metal turned to dust. The Guardian's voice echoed through the vision. "Humans once ruled this world. They built machines to protect themselves, machines like me. But power blinded them. They played with life, mixing their blood with creatures of the earth to become stronger. They wanted to live forever." The vision changed. Lyra saw half-human, half-beast figures rising in war, fighting against humans and machines alike. "The Savage Tribe," the Guardian said. "They were born from your ancestors' fear, a failed attempt to survive the end." The vision faded, leaving the chamber dark again. Lyra gasped for air, shaking. "They were created by us," she whispered. The Guardian nodded slowly. "And now they hunt what remains of humanity to erase their shame." The cave trembles outside the chamber. Karok and his hunters crept closer. Their torches flickered blue as they entered the cave. The smell of metal and ancient dust filled their noses. One of them touched the glowing walls. "The gods live here," he said in awe. Karok growled. "No gods, only power, and we will take it." They moved deeper until they saw the light ahead and the shape of Lyra standing beside a glowing figure. Karok raised his weapon and shouted, "Human, the fire is not yours." The Guardian's head turned slowly toward them, his eyes glowing brighter. "You were never meant to return," he said. The clash, the tribe roared and charged forward. Lyra ducked behind a metal pillar as arrows flew past her. The Guardian raised his arm, and blue light burst from his hand, a wave of energy throwing the hunters back, but Karok stood firm. His weapon absorbed the energy, glowing red. He grinned. "Old tricks," he said. "The gods taught us too." The Guardian looked shocked. "Impossible. No human should hold that power." Karok roared again and leapt forward, striking the Guardian's chest. Sparks flew as metal cracked. The Guardian stumbled back, his light dimming. Lyra screamed, "Stop, you'll destroy everything." Karok turned toward her, eyes burning. Everything already died long ago. He raised his weapon again, but the ground beneath them split open. Blue fire erupted, throwing everyone back. The hidden truth: when the dust settled, Lyra lay beside the Guardian's broken body. His chest glowed faintly, his voice weak. "Lyra, the cube you hold, it's not just a message." She looked at it. It was glowing brighter now, pulsing with her heartbeat. "It responds to you because you are part of it," he whispered. "Your blood carries the key. You are the link between the past and what's coming." Her hands trembled. "What's coming?" He looked at her with sorrow. "The fire is not only light, it is memory. It remembers the war, it remembers the end, and it will rise again through you." Lyra stepped back, shaking her head. "No, that's not possible. I'm just—" Before she could finish, a loud cry echoed through the cave. Karok was still alive, dragging himself up. His eyes burned red, veins glowing faintly, the same light as the cube. Lyra's heart stopped. The Guardian's words echoed in her mind. "You are connected, both of you." The warning: the Guardian grabbed Lyra's wrist, his voice turning urgent. "Listen to me. If the fire inside you awakens too soon, this world will burn again. You must control it." Lyra swallowed hard. "How?" He looked past her, his eyes clouding over. "Find the Tower of Echoes, beyond the Valley of Bones. There you will find the truth." Suddenly, the lights in the chamber began to fade. The machines around them powered down, one by one. The Guardian's body turned still. "Go," he whispered, "before it's too late." His light went out completely. The night was burning. Flames of blue light rose from the jungle floor, twisting through the trees like living fire. The air shimmered with heat and strange energy. Birds screamed and vanished into the darkness. From the ruins of the ancient cave, Lyra stumbled out, coughing, her face covered in ash and sweat. The small cube still glowed faintly in her hand, now cracked, flickering like a dying star. Behind her, the cave roared with collapsing stone. And then through the smoke, Karok appeared. His body was changing. Blue veins ran under his skin like lightning. His eyes were no longer the golden fire of the savage tribe, they were burning electric blue. For the first time, he looked afraid. The aftermath: Lyra backed away slowly, her heart racing. "Stay back," she said, her voice trembling. "You're not yourself." Karok took one unsteady step forward. "I feel everything," he said in a voice that sounded deeper, heavier. "The fire burns inside me." He clutched his head, groaning in pain. Sparks of light flashed under his skin. "The Guardian's power, it's alive in my blood." Lyra shook her head. "That's not power, it's a curse." Karok laughed weakly. Humans called everything a curse once they couldn't control it. The connection: suddenly, the cube in Lyra's hand pulsed again, and Karok's veins glowed brighter at the same rhythm. They both froze. Lyra's eyes widened. "It's reacting to you." Karok looked at her sharply. "No, it's reacting to us." The cube began to hum, and for a brief moment, both of them saw something, a flash of memory not their own. Two figures stood on a metal platform centuries ago, a human woman and a tall creature with markings like Karok's. They held hands as blue fire swirled around them. A voice echoed in their heads. "Their blood shall bind two worlds, human and beast, one to remember, one to awaken." The vision vanished. Lyra gasped, clutching her chest. "That was us." Karok looked shaken. "Our ancestors, the first ones, the ones who made the fire." They stood in silence, the jungle whispering around them. The pursuit far away, the rest of the savage tribe moved cautiously through the burning trees. The hunters had lost their leader. Fear spread through them like smoke. "Karok is gone," one of them said. "The fire took him." Another growled. "Then it's our turn to take the fire back." They began to follow the glowing trail, blue sparks that led deeper into the mountains. The argument Lyra and Karok stopped beside a stream glowing faintly under the light of the strange blue fire. Karok looked at the water, seeing his reflection twist with the light. "We were both made by them," he said. "Your people and mine, we were never meant to live apart." Lyra frowned. "That doesn't change what your tribe did. You hunted us." Karok's voice darkened. "Because your kind destroyed ours first. You made us monsters, then ran from what you created." Lyra lowered her head, unable to answer. For a moment, only the sound of running water filled the silence. Then the cube pulsed again, showing another brief image, a tall metallic tower rising from the ground, surrounded by bones and ruins. Lyra looked up. "The Tower of Echoes," she whispered. "The Guardian told me to go there." Karok's eyes narrowed. "The same tower appears in my tribe's legends. They say it's where the gods will return." Lyra stood. "Then that's where we'll find the truth." Karok looked at her for a long time, human and beast, enemies by birth, bound by something older than memory. "Then we go together," he said finally. The journey begins. They traveled through the broken land, through forests glowing with strange blue veins, past mountains where metal ruins stuck out like skeletons of the old world. At night, they stayed near rivers, where the blue water shimmered with soft light. Lyra would sometimes hear the Guardian's voice in her dreams, soft, distant, almost like a warning. "The blood remembers. The fire will rise again." She would wake trembling, the cube glowing beside her. Karok watched her in silence. He no longer saw her as prey. There was something else, something familiar, like a shadow of another life. The storm on the fourth night, the sky turned dark. A storm began to build, not of rain, but of light. Blue lightning cracked across the sky, striking the ground in patterns. Karok raised his head, sniffing the air. "It's calling again." Lyra held the cube tightly. "It's guiding us. The tower must be near." Suddenly the ground trembled, trees fell as something massive moved under the earth. The river split apart, glowing from below. A huge shape began to rise, a creature made of stone and metal, covered in vines, its eyes glowing blue. It let out a sound that shook the world. Lyra froze. "What is that?" Karok's voice was low and fearful. "A guardian of the tower, or what's left of it." The creature turned its head slowly toward them. "Blood of two worlds," it said in a deep metallic voice. "The fire knows you." The cube in Lyra's hand blazed with light. The hook for part 5, the creature's massive hand reached toward them. The ground split open, swallowing the trees and river. Karok grabbed Lyra's arm. "Run!" They ran through the storm, blue lightning chasing them. Behind them, the creature roared, the earth tearing apart under its steps. As they reached the edge of a cliff, Lyra looked back. The Tower of Echoes stood far in the distance, its peak glowing like a beacon through the chaos. She whispered, "That's where it ends or begins." The cube pulsed once more, and a voice whispered through the storm, "Choose, Lyra. The fire can save your world or end it again." The storm never stopped. Lightning split the black sky again and again, filling the night with blue fire. The jungle was gone now, burned, drowned, or swallowed by the earth's shaking. Only ash and glowing rivers of light remained. Through the chaos, Lyra and Karok ran. Their breath came in gasps. The cube in Lyra's hand glowed so bright it hurt to look at. Every pulse seemed to point toward the same place ahead, the Tower of Echoes. It rose from the center of a shattered valley, tall as a mountain, built from silver metal that had survived 1,000,000 years. The tower's surface rippled like water and sang with low humming sounds, as if voices still lived inside its walls. Karok stopped, staring up at it. "So it's real," he said quietly. Lyra nodded. "The Guardian was right. This is where it all began." The broken gate, the ground around the tower was covered in bones, some human, some not. Old machines lay buried in the dust, their lights long dead. At the base of the tower stood a massive gate, carved with the same symbols they had seen in the jungle, circles, hands, and lines of blue fire. Lyra stepped closer. The cube vibrated in her hand. When she raised it, the gate began to move, slowly opening with a deep rumble that shook the valley. A rush of cold air escaped from inside, carrying a faint whisper, "Welcome back." Karok's eyes narrowed. "It knows you." "It knows us," Lyra replied. They stepped inside. The hall of memories, the tower's interior, was endless. Walls covered in glowing glass, each panel showing moving images of the past. Lyra touched one and gasped. She saw humans walking beside creatures that looked like the tribe, working together, building the same tower. The voices echoed all around her. "Together we are one world, two hearts, one fire." Then the vision shifted: war, fire, betrayal, humans turning their weapons on the hybrids. The tower shaking, collapsing, sealing itself from the world. Lyra pulled her hand back. "This place remembers everything," she whispered. Karok clenched his fists. "My people called this place the Tomb of Lies, but maybe it's the only truth left." The core chamber, they followed the humming sound deeper into the tower until they reached a huge circular hall. In its center floated a glowing sphere of blue energy, spinning slowly. Dozens of smaller orbs surrounded it, like planets around a sun. Lyra felt the cube pull from her hand, rising toward the sphere. She tried to hold on, but the force was too strong. It flew from her grasp and merged with the light. The whole room began to glow. A calm voice filled the air, identity confirmed. Human code and hybrid code detected. Karok's eyes widened. "What does that mean?" "You are both descendants of the first fire," the voice said. "Your blood completes the circle." Lyra's heart raced. "We're connected to this tower." "More than that," the voice replied. "You are the key." The awakening suddenly, beams of light shot from the walls, scanning their bodies. Lyra felt warmth spread through her chest, then pain. The veins in her arms began to glow. Karok fell to his knees, roaring as blue fire crawled across his skin. "Warning," the voice said. "Reconstruction sequence active." Lyra screamed. "Stop it." "Cannot stop," the voice answered calmly. "The world must be reborn." Images flashed in their minds, oceans of fire, new land rising, skies full of machines. The tower was trying to rebuild the world, but at a terrible cost. Karok forced himself to stand, trembling. "It will destroy everything." Lyra's voice broke. "Then we have to stop it." The decision, she ran toward the glowing sphere, her body shaking. "There must be a control." The voice spoke again. "Only those who carry both blood can end the sequence." Karok looked at her. "With blood, you and me." He stepped beside her, placing his hand over hers on the sphere. The light reacted instantly, rising higher, wrapping them in blue flame. For a moment, everything went silent. Then a vision appeared around them, two worlds forming from one, splitting apart in light. "You can restore balance," the voice said, "or erase both worlds forever." Lyra looked at Karok, fear in her eyes. "What do we choose?" Karok hesitated. "If we stop it, maybe we die. If we let it continue, maybe everyone else does." Lyra whispered, "Then we stop it." The collapse, they pushed their hands deeper into the sphere. The light screamed, turning red. The walls cracked, lightning shooting across the chamber. Outside, the storm grew wilder. The tower began to crumble, sending blue energy into the sky. Karok shouted over the noise, "It's fighting us." Lyra's voice shook. "Hold on." The sphere shattered. A wave of energy exploded outward, throwing them to the floor. The tower's humming stopped. Silence returned. Smoke and dust filled the air. Lyra opened her eyes slowly. The light was gone. The cube lay in front of her, dark and lifeless. She crawled toward Karok. He was barely breathing. "Karok," she whispered. He smiled weakly. "We did it, maybe." But before she could answer, a soft hum filled the air again. The tower's walls began to glow, not blue this time, but white. "The hook for part 6, a new voice spoke, colder, sharper. "Sequence interrupted. Emergency protocol activated. Rebuild directive transferring to human host." Lyra's body froze. The cube rose from the floor and hovered above her chest. Karok's eyes widened. "Lyra, no." The cube melted into light and sank into her skin. Her veins flashed bright white. Lyra screamed as the tower shook again. The voice echoed one last time. Reconstruction begins now. Outside, the storm ended. The sky turned white, and far below the earth something massive began to move. The storm was gone. The world lay silent under a white sky that looked like it had forgotten how to be blue. No wind, no birds, no sound. Only the endless whisper of falling ash that glowed faintly in the air. At the heart of the ruined valley, the Tower of Echoes still stood broken but alive. Its surface pulsed with white light like a heartbeat. Beside its shattered gate, Karok lay half-buried in dust and stone. His body ached, his chest burned, and every breath felt heavier than the last. Slowly he pushed himself up. "Lyra," he whispered. The transformation in front of him, Lyra floated above the ground. Her body was surrounded by soft white light, her eyes closed, her hair drifting as if underwater. The cube, now a part of her, glowed inside her chest. Lines of energy moved under her skin, forming glowing patterns across her arms and neck. Karok stared in awe and fear. "Lyra, what have you become?" Her eyes opened slowly. They were no longer human, not blue, not brown, but glowing white like two stars. "I don't know," she said in a calm, distant voice. "I can hear them, all of them, the guardians, the fire, the machines, even the earth itself." Karok stepped closer carefully. "The tower said it was rebuilding. Does that mean—" Lyra looked at him sharply. "It means the world is starting again." The rebirth around them, the ground began to shift. Trees rose from the earth, glowing faintly before turning green. Rivers reappeared, flowing with crystal water. The air smelled clean again, but too clean, too still. Karok knelt, touching the soil. It was warm, almost alive. "It's changing everything." Lyra's voice was soft. "The old world is dying, the new one is growing." "But at what cost?" he asked. She turned to him slowly. "I don't think we have a choice anymore. The fire has chosen." Karok shook his head. "No, you still have a choice. You're not a god." Lyra looked down, sadness in her glowing eyes. "Maybe not, but something inside me doesn't care what I want anymore." Echoes of the past, the tower hummed again, and white light spread across its walls. Images appeared, not from the past this time, but from what was coming. Karok saw cities rebuilding themselves in seconds, mountains rising, oceans glowing. He also saw humans, or what was left of them, changing, glowing like Lyra, losing what made them human. Lyra whispered, "It's rewriting life." The guardian's voice echoed faintly in her mind. "The fire remembers, the fire corrects." Lyra clutched her chest. "It's not stopping, Karok, it's spreading." He looked around, panic rising. "Then we stop it before it's too late," but Lyra shook her head. "I can't. The cube isn't in my hand anymore, it's me." The choice of two worlds. Karok stepped closer, his expression torn between anger and sorrow. "You said the fire was meant to bring balance, but this is not balance, this is control." Lyra looked at him with glowing eyes. "If we stop it, the world will fall apart again. Humans, tribes, everything gone." Karok roared, "Then let it die. Better death than living in the fire's shadow." She flinched. "I don't want to hurt anyone." The ground cracked beneath them as the tower's light grew stronger. The sky began to swirl with white energy, and a massive beam shot upward like a column to the heavens. Karok shouted over the wind, "Lyra, you have to fight it." Her voice broke. "I don't know how." He reached out, grabbing her arm. His skin burned from her touch, but he didn't let go. "Remember who you are," he said. "Not a god, not a machine. Just Lyra, the one who ran through the jungle, who fought to live." Lyra's eyes flickered white, then human again, just for a moment. Tears fell down her glowing cheeks. "I remember," she whispered. The awakening of the tower, the ground shook violently. From deep inside the tower, a new sound rose, louder, mechanical, alive. A voice boomed across the valley. "Phase 2 initiated. Guardian unit online." Karok looked up in horror. Another one, from the tower's core. A massive figure began to rise, twice the size of the first Guardian, made entirely of white metal and light. Its head turned slowly toward them. "Primary host detected," it said in a deep voice. Subject, Lyra. Lyra's body trembled. It's connected to me, it's part of the same system. Karok drew his blade, though it was useless against such power. Then what does it want? The Guardian's eyes glowed. To protect the new world, eliminate what does not belong. Its gaze fell on Karok. The battle begins. The giant raised its hand. A wave of energy shot forward, hitting the ground near Karok. He flew back, crashing into a fallen beam of metal. Lyra screamed. Stop, he's not the enemy. Hybrid code unstable, must be removed. Lyra stepped between them, her body shining with white fire. You will not touch him. The air exploded with light. Karok shielded his eyes as the two forces clashed, guardian light against Lyra's human fire. The ground cracked, lightning split the sky, and the world turned white again. The hook for part 7. When the light faded, the Guardian stood still, frozen mid-motion, its chest burned with a human-shaped mark. Lyra fell to her knees, breathing hard, her glow flickering. Karok crawled to her side, blood on his arm. She looked at him weakly. I stopped it for now. Karok gritted his teeth. But it's not over. Lyra nodded slowly. No, the system is still alive, and it's spreading beyond this place. Karok looked toward the horizon. The white sky began to crack, and beneath it a strange golden light shimmered as if another world waited to break through. Lyra whispered, That's not dawn, it's something else. Karok stared in silence. Then what happens next? Lyra looked at her glowing hands and said softly, Next, the world decides if it wants to live. The sky burned white for 3 days. The world had stopped turning. Rivers froze midstream. Mountains glowed like crystal. Every living thing, human, beast, and machine, waited for the new dawn that never came. And in the center of that silent, reborn world stood Lyra, her body glowing with faint white fire. Around her lay the remains of the Tower of Echoes, now cracked and quiet. She could feel it, the pulse of the new world inside her veins. Every heartbeat sent waves of light across the earth. But with every beat, she felt less human. Behind her, Karok struggled to his feet. His armor was broken, his blade shattered, but his eyes were still alive, fierce and full of purpose. Lyra, he said softly, it's not over, is it? She turned slowly. No, the tower's core is still active. It's rebuilding more than the land. It's rewriting life itself. The world reborn all around them, new shapes began to rise from the white dust, creatures made of metal and bone, trees that breathed light instead of air. The fire wasn't just fixing the world, it was creating something new, something that had never existed before. Karok watched in silence. It's beautiful, he said quietly, and terrifying. Lyra nodded. It's what they wanted, a perfect world, but perfection has a cost. What cost? She looked down, her glowing hands trembling. Me, I am the heart now, the fire uses me to build. If I stop, everything stops. Karok's face hardened. Then we find a way to free you. She smiled sadly. You can't. The Guardian said the system always needs a host. If I leave, it will find another or burn everything to start again. The awakening of the core. Suddenly, the ground rumbled. The broken tower began to rise once more, its pieces floating into the air. A deep, cold voice echoed across the valley. Reconstruction incomplete. Host unstable. Beginning transfer. Lyra gasped, her light flickered. It's trying to replace me. Karok stepped forward. With who? From the white mist behind them, a figure began to walk forward, tall, glowing, and familiar. It was Karok's reflection, but colder, made of light and metal. The voice continued, hybrid source compatible, secondary host selected. Karok's eyes widened. It's me. The clone lifted its head. Its voice was flat, mechanical. This body will preserve balance. You are no longer required. Lyra reached out. No, if it takes him, it will merge both codes. The world will lose its balance forever. The final battle, the clone charged forward with inhuman speed. Karok met it head-on, his blade clashing against metal that sparked white fire. Every strike echoed through the empty valley. Lyra raised her hands, sending waves of light to protect him, but the more power she used, the weaker she became. Karok shouted, "You can't fight both, save your strength." But Lyra ignored him. "I won't lose you too." She focused all her energy into one burst of light. The clone stumbled back, its chest cracked open, revealing a small glowing core, the same as the cube that once guided her. Karok saw his chance. He leapt forward and drove his broken blade into the core. The clone screamed and shattered into dust. But the light didn't vanish, it flowed into Karok's body. He fell to his knees, his veins turning white. Lyra ran to him. "No, no, no," he looked up at her, his voice faint. "Looks like it found a new host after all." The last choice. Lyra held his face, tears falling as white light surrounded them both. The tower's voice returned, cold and final. "Two hosts detected. System conflict. Select one to remain." Lyra's heart broke. "It's asking us to choose." Karok smiled weakly. "Then there's no choice, you keep it, you're stronger." She shook her head. "I'm not stronger, just tired." The ground began to split, blue and white light colliding like storms. Lyra whispered, "If one of us must stay, then both of us will go together." She grabbed his hands, pressing them against her chest. The light flared brighter than ever before. "Override accepted," the voice said. "System shutdown initiated." The tower screamed, a sound like a dying god. The white fire, a column of light, shot into the sky, tearing the clouds apart. The world glowed pure white for one last moment, and then silence. The tower of echoes crumbled into dust. The jungle grew quiet again. The air turned warm, the light soft and golden. For the first time in ages, the world felt alive. Epilogue: the new dawn days later. The first rays of sunrise touched the land, not white now, but gentle gold. Grass grew over the ruins. Birds sang again. Rivers flowed with clear water. In the middle of the valley, two shapes lay side by side, a human and a hybrid, their bodies still, but their hands held together. Between them, a small seed of light pulsed once, then sank into the ground. From that place, a single tree began to grow, its leaves glowing faint blue, its roots deep and strong. And in the wind, a faint whisper could be heard. Two worlds, one fire, one life reborn. The story of the old world had ended, and the story of the new one had just begun. If you enjoyed this journey, leave a like, share your thoughts below, and subscribe to become part of this story. This is born of two worlds, where reality ends and imagination begins.